Well, we are back live from the Messenger Studios, and I'm super glad to have you guys tuning in to us and keeping up with all the podcasts. You can actually check us out at the messengerky.com, where we have all of our podcasts up. We have a podcast tab right next to the subscribe button. There's a reason for that. Subscribe. We got lots of information. Like today, I've got Mr. Jim Bradford, who is the deputy commander for the Garrison, and he helps. I honestly want to call you like the city manager. If I was to say like the mayor is like the colonel, you're the city planner and manager, right? So you kind of make the execution work happen of a lot. And Fort Knox has got a lot of moving parts, so
Sure.
you know.
No, absolutely, yeah. Somebody's got to have continuity and administration of the city, of the town,
Yeah.
of the installation, through the through the years, through the
Yeah.
budgetary process as things change, and Lord knows we're going through some changes now, just like every city and every county has an evolution and ups and downs as we go through this.
So it is, and I have been in Fort Knox when we've had our low. I've seen it at our high. I left here in 2012, and like the 3-1 left, and there was the bottom fell out, right? All these houses came available, and then now we got more people and we got houses, and it's an ebb and flow. And the one thing I've learned about it is if you buy real estate, just hang on. It's like the weather in Iowa. Wait a minute, it'll change.
For sure. If you are a long-term resident, and we've got many of them here, not just locally in Brandenburg and Meade County, but all over, you can't help but kind of comment to.
Sure.
This happened in 2006. This happened in 2012, and then 2020, Fifth Corps and COVID.
Yeah.
And so there are some peaks and valleys, some ebb and flows, to Fort Knox, and we're kind of in one of those. I don't think that it's so much as a valley to 2006 and 2012, but
right.
Clearly there's going to be a dip as the Army and our Department of Defense through this administration is making some really tough decisions toward prioritization of our national defense.
Well, let's get into some of the topics that are the most heated. I know y'all, your phone's been blowing up and everything else, but let's go after the big elephant in the room, the back gate, Wilson Gate. We got the notice out today, so for our Brandenburg folks and a lot of the folks that live in Meade County has a low impact because you traditionally go through that front gate or the Brandenburg gate, but the Wilson Gate gets a lot of our Hardin County listeners and stuff. So
yeah, sure. No, I mean without a doubt, if you're if you're a resident of Radcliffe, Elizabethtown, the eastern side of Hardin County, wherever that's at, you probably have used Wilson, quote unquote Wilson Gate. That's aligned with Wilson Avenue. So kind of put that from a business perspective. That's one of the roads that runs adjacent to Walmart in Radcliffe, Helen's Flowers, Applebee's, Navy Federal Bank, etc. Fort Knox has got 3 access gates. Brandenburg, that you mentioned earlier, next to Muldra. Then you've got Chaffee ACP by the Gold Depository, and then Wilson Gate. So we've made the decision, unfortunately, due to our personnel manning and our attrition that we've really had since February. We've had to close a gate, and we had to choose Wilson for a number of reasons. Brandenburg is where our line haul, our industrial, think of semi-trucks, big trucks, heavy equipment that comes in. It's
household goods
built for that, household goods. It's tied to the dump, it's tied to the ammunition supply point, it's tied to maintenance, it's tied to a number of things. We had to keep that open. Chaffee is simply our main gate. By far, it gets the most vehicle traffic, visitor control center. It runs right into the heart of that, and then we had Wilson, and that's the gate that we had to choose. It had limited hours to begin with. It's not the only one, but had limited hours. but clearly when we are closing it now, it's going to have an impact, and we fully acknowledge that, both internally, but also externally to the city of Radcliffe and the residents or the community members that simply use that because of convenience. We have not permanently closed it. We have indefinitely closed it with not of a time horizon until our manning posture improves. And again, Fort Knox is no different than the city. It's no different than any business. We're kind of having to make a business decision based upon the personnel
resources
that we have and the resources that we have. And as if that personnel population improves, then we know that we've got to open it and want to open it for our soldiers, for our people that work on Fort Knox, but also for the community members. So what do I think that the horizon is going to be? What we're telling residents and what we've communicated to our civics leaders, what we're putting out on kind of thing is hey, for the next 90 days, it's going to be closed. We're in the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. We're still under this hiring freeze that the Department of Defense has had us. So we do not foresee that changing in the next 90 days.
Tighten up your bootstraps.
And we'll maneuver through it. We fully acknowledge we're also in the middle of the high water mark of our operational tempo on Fort Knox. Cadet summer training, summer PCS that you mentioned. We've got a lot of activity coming on, so it couldn't happen at a worse time. You want to have something happen like this in January when you got an ice storm, right? You're like, hey,
teleworking options are more available.
Absolutely, but we don't control that, but what we can do is work our way through it.
Yeah,
so.
This reminds me of conversations, leadership wise. I absolutely can keep that gate open. So you want me to close the commissary?
Right.
Something's got to close because if I can move resource. And I'm just kidding. They're not ever going to close. That's a completely different operation from a gate. But you would have to move something from something. Something has to give. But there's other more secure responsibilities to the installation.
You're absolutely right. And people voice their concerns and voice their their dislike to it, and they're absolutely fair to do so. What I would say is hey, we've thought of everything. Hey, do we put borrowed military manpower on it? Do we put a soldier in a unit on it? And every one of those things have a cause and an effect to be able to do that. We are very protective of soldiers' readiness requirements and the operational missions that are associated with it. We've looked at limited hours. We've looked at, hey, do we create a volunteer corps? What is all of this thing? The pros and cons of closing Brandenburg by having, Wilson, open. All of those things we've kind of, and at the end of the day,
decisions made.
Have to make hard decisions. We see that in the city of Brandenburg, the county of Meade County, and other things, and that's kind of where we're at today. Just like a business and a home has to make hard decisions associated with their resources as well.
So, there's a lot of decisions being made right now, especially because of funding. Let's talk about Aviation Command a little bit.
Sure.
We've got some notice about some changes with that, aircraft coming in, aircraft moving out, and the need for that facility still in order to support our ground air combat operations that we've moved towards with our ranges. So how does that unfold as you see it right now? And everything's now until another decision's made.
Sure.
So how are we seeing that impact?
So we're at 2 of 3 decisions. So to kind of keep it simple, we received an execution order back in the late May timeframe. We've received a structure message that kind of outlines what the Army structure is going to look like here literally this week, and what we're waiting on is an execution, another execution order that kind of definitively highlights timelines that are associated with that. And the Army's done a pretty good job of making sure that our congressional leaders are aware of these things as well. So when we look at our congressional and senatorial leaders here in the Commonwealth, and with respect to Army Reserve Aviation, it affects a multitude because that command crosses several states that impact congressional districts as well as senatorial leaders as well. But what we are expecting is the Army Reserve Aviation Command starting in FY26, so that will be 1 October of this year through the remainder of 2026 to start to move its aviation assets either to the Commonwealth of Kentucky under General Lamberton and Governor Beshear. Some of the assets will go to other executive branches, so like Homeland Security and places like that, or to simply turn in, and then those aviation personnel will be dispersed across the across the Army as well. So that will occur through 2026, and my gut tells me that probably somewhere toward the end of calendar year 2026, Army Reserve Aviation Command will change. It is still going to stay because we will have the fixed wing component of that, so that's the airplane component that will remain at Fort Knox, but the rotary wing component of Army Reserve Aviation Command will probably cease to exist. Now you'll still see helicopters flying in the area because we've got a digital air-ground integration range. That's one of 2 in the United States that's here at Fort Knox, so you'll see a lot of assets still utilizing that range. You'll see rotary wing assets to support cadet summer training. You'll see rotary wing assets to support mobilization, but the home station and the homesteading of a rotary wing will probably end and inactivate toward the end of 2026. And the same goes with our engineer battalion. Our engineer battalion is kind of rose and fell over the last 4 or 5 years as the Army moves its bridging assets around. The current decision is potentially to move that engineer battalion to Fort Polk, Louisiana, where the Joint Readiness Training Center is. It's where one of our Army brigade combat teams are located at. And so it aligns itself more with a active component and a mobilizing component under what the Army calls Forces Command for mobility and deployability. So that will occur in 2026 and 2027. So the dust probably will not settle with respect to that until probably 2028, but you'll see some movement of that. That's going to have an economic impact to our surrounding counties, mainly Meade and Hardin County. It will affect, in some cases, Nelson and Breckenridge and up into Louisville, because we have soldiers that live in these counties as well. But it will also create some opportunity for restationing of assets onto Fort Knox as well. To be decided on that. We're in a lot of negotiations and communications with our congressional leaders, mainly Congressman Guthrie and Senator McConnell. But it does free up opportunity to be able to do that. And I go back to what you kind of highlighted in 2012, when the Armor Center moved in 2006. It created opportunity to bring in HRC.
Yes.
We increased the size of the Army with 3-1. We brought in a Sessions Command.
5th Corps.
And then 2012, the Army resized and we removed that, but it set up the conditions 10 years later or 8 years later, actually, for the opportunity for 5th Corps to come in. And so there is all of that, and I think that that is a positive nature of that. If you're a business owner, if you're a real estate developer owner, or you're kind of going, that's fair, for sure. But what I would also say for, there is opportunity there, and it's going to take us time to do that. Our Army is reshaping, our defense is reshaping. That's not a bad thing. In many cases, the voters have asked for that. And I think that here at Fort Knox, while we're losing some incredible organizations and great teammates, we're setting ourselves up for other opportunities. And we are promoting that within the Army as well, even though there are no decisions, and I know
Sure.
that creates an unknown.
Well, and, we put a lot of time and energy into the ranges with our air-ground combat operations. There's still relevancy whether we, decrease the size of our aviation assets and we do more drone technology and stuff like that. All of those operations still can be done right here at Fort Knox.
Sure.
So, and
Absolutely.
we still need hangars. We still need takeoff locations. It's not completely impactful. It's just a new vision, change, right?
No, absolutely. I don't think that many people have a true appreciation of the regional readiness impact that Fort Knox has,
Yeah.
and what really happens. Because sometimes, it's okay. This is what I can touch and feel, but it would be interesting, at times to kind of understand what comes up from Fort Campbell. Trains for 2 to 3 days, a week or 2 weeks, and then departs. National Guard or Reserve unit in Ohio or Indiana or West Virginia that comes here. All of those things get after the readiness of the Army, that particular unit, and that's what Fort Knox is bringing
Sure.
to
The communities.
to this community, but as well as to the Army.
Well, and us staying connected with Fort Knox, I think, is important, especially for our tourism for Meade County. That's why, I take a personal interest in Fort Knox as well, because those soldiers want to find a place, their families, to come and hang out. We got great places to do that here in Meade County. The museum. That's the last hot button topic.
Sure.
A lot of people love that museum. There's a lot of discussions going on, but it also comes up on the chopping block in discussions with some work being handled legislatively. So just a quick insight on that, and then we can get off the bad note and talk about the good stuff that's coming.
Yeah, well, sure, and that's fair. So the Patton Museum was announced to be one of 19 museums across the Army, so this is across the United States, that were targeted to potentially be closed. And when it was announced, it was not necessarily announced of when or why. And so, again, like the Army making decisions, looked at regionalization and combining or consolidating museums, because we have an Army museum now. We did not have that, 3 or 4 years ago. So they have kind of looked at Patton Museum and 18 others, a total of 19, to be able to do that. We immediately, and I say we as in Fort Knox, the Patton Museum, civic and community leaders, tourism leaders in the area reached out to the Army, and we are actually meeting next week for the first time to kind of look and see if there are public-private partnerships or other relationships that can be done, because of not what the Patton Museum provides from a tourism perspective, from a just simply a history of from the Fort Knox, Radcliffe, Meade, and Hardin County perspective, but also what it's providing directly to the Patton, to Fort Knox. Patton Museum right now does a lot toward leader development that supports cadet command, cadet summer training. It ties into recruiting command and how those future recruiters can kind of talk the Army, the legacy, piece of that. So that it's got a great connection to the current mission of Fort Knox as well. So we're going to work with the Center of Military History in the Army and Training and Doctrine Command of the Army to see what is available. We'll look and see where we can get some public partnerships to be able to do that, and work that through FY26 or calendar year 26 to see all those options that are out there on the table, because we don't want it to leave. And we think personally, just from a dollar amount perspective, we think that we can kind of work that. I don't make any assumptions that it won't be difficult, But I think that there's opportunity to be able to do that.
Well, I think so too. It's one of those things that people get to visit a lot here at Fort Knox when they come, especially for cadet summer training. I know Ty's been doing a great job there, the whole group that supports the museum. I just got back from AUSA myself as your chapter president for Fort Knox. Speaking of course, we'll get into the good stuff here in a minute, but, I was in D.C. Unfortunately, the weather delays got me back Sunday instead of Friday. I hate airports sometimes, but while I was there, they're even aware of it, but it's not just Fort Knox. This is an Army-wide problem.
Sure.
The Army Museum is also involved, so there's a lot of people that you have no idea until the Pandora's box is open how many people are really involved in something until it's a problem or it becomes a concern for the everyday citizen.
Sure.
But they just assume that all these things just happen normally. But there's a lot of people that got their hands involved in. So more to come as we know. But right now, that's where we're at.
I don't think you're right. Interesting enough, I think the Patton Museum is tied to the tourism of this region.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more than what people give it credit for.
That's
Whether
right.
that is just simply the recreational aspect of this region with Otter Creek State Park or West Point and so forth, are tied to cadet summer training, or just hey, I want to come here and go along the Bourbon Trail and I got an extra day and I want to go to the Patton Museum, right? People go, oh, Patton movie, Patton pistol.
That's right.
Let's go there, and we're adding to the history and the knowledge and the experience of our Army. And I think it's a great thing. But we've got to work through it, and we've got to do some partnering. And I think that's where to your point. AUSA, KRDA, tourism offices at the local and the state level, all of those folks have a finger into this, and we just gotta bring it all together and see what's fair.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring it up just to make sure people knew that there's people fighting and kicking to keep the things that we know, and sometimes we might take for granted, but there's people that are still involved. I don't know where all the flies came from in here. There's like no windows. But anyway, so moving along, there's good stuff happening at Fort Knox besides all the gloom and doom of these closures or cuts and everything else. And 4th of July.
Yeah, so let me back up a minute here. I just won, the 14th of June, so this
Army birthday.
Two weeks ago, Army birthday, 250th birthday of the Army. Many people probably watched it on TV up in DC, but let me just say from a AUSA support standpoint, the Patton Museum, again, we were just talking about them. What an incredible job that they did on Saturday the 14th to recognize the Army's birthday and to commemorate all of that. Fantastic, venue and event to be able to do that. So, and then this rolls into the Independence Day that is tomorrow. If Fort Knox is anything, we are traditionalist. We're not going to do it on a Saturday or a Sunday. If the 4th is on a Tuesday, by George, we're shooting fireworks on Tuesday. It just happens to be a good Friday, a good long weekend, and we're going to all set to go, and it's supposed to be great weather. That's a great thing, so come on out. It starts at 6 o'clock. We'll do salute to the nation and all of that, and if you've never seen that from a pomp and circumstance and really just the tug of the heart to see all the nation's flags come out and be really taken by brand new second lieutenants or soon to be second lieutenants from U.S. Army Cadet Command, that's always a great thing with all the patriotic songs, and when that ends, then we start the fireworks show. It'll be a great time.
You guys have a cannon salute too during that, don't you? So
it's
that you feel that in your chest when they do that every time. It makes me jump every time.
Absolutely. And if you got a kiddo that's never touched one, felt one, or seen one, or heard one, again, it's a free opportunity. Before we do that, they do a an opportunity to take photos and see it and kind of learn that, and that's always a great thing. But great kid activities, great adult activities, music, drink, food, all those things that are associated with it. But again, starts at 6 p.m. and then we'll do fireworks once it gets dark.
Right.
And then this year on the 27th of July is a concert on the lawn. For us, lawn equals Brooksfield, and it is the Army Band, and they'll be doing playing associated, various musics from genres. But we will tie that on as well. That'll be a standard kind of lawn concert. Bring out your chair, bring out your igloo if you want to buy some drinks and food. Then we'll absolutely have it there. But if you want to bring your own picnic supplies and stuff to listen to that free concert, and we're going to again start that kind of in the mid-evening, 6:30. That'll be a great opportunity to be able to do that. And then as we roll into August, like all communities, it'll be back to school and back to school focus. And we're doing various events and stuff for families in there and stuff. And so in between all of that, actually starting this Friday, the 5th, is the first family day, and then Sunday, the 6th, is the first cadet summer training graduation and stuff. So
I will be there.
Great opportunity for families to come out and see their cadet. That's what really Family Day is built around. But the cadet summer training graduations are open to all public, as well as members of the cadets. And so, if you've never seen a good old-fashioned traditional pomp and circumstance graduation with marching band and passing review and and all of that, to really make you feel proud of what your Army is doing for our nation, I would encourage you to come out. We publicize those. They start really about every 5 days, starting on this Saturday and Sunday and stuff. So sometimes they're in the middle of the week, sometimes they're on a weekend, and we will go through that until about the second week of August, when the last regiment of cadet summer training will graduate. They'll all go back to their universities and schools to continue their education, and then we'll kind of start to transition as we get ready for the Commander's Assessment Program in September. Very
good. Well, I'm excited for the 4th of July. I highly encourage, from a green suit to a civilian suit perspective, it is a real treat to see what the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation do for the installation, to pull that together, and then the various organizations throughout the installation in partnership to make that a very successful event for our service members and our former service members and the families and the civilians that all make that all come together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And while we're not, we don't have it completely synchronized and coordinated. We do a pretty good job over the years of trying to deconflict fireworks and celebrations with our surrounding communities and stuff. So if you're one that just likes to get their fireworks on, so to speak, you'll have a great opportunity between Friday and Saturday and the surrounding communities and stuff.
Well, I think it's a perfect timing for graduation from cadet summer training. Great way to bring in the crowds with the families and get this exposure to this is the quality of life your soldier's going to have serving our country. You know what I mean? So it's a great tribute. And as always, Jim, y'all do a great job. You know what I mean? I know that sometimes it's like herding cats, but really the folks out there that do, you've got a great team. And hopefully a lot of these impacts don't hurt us for too long, you know what I mean? Because it is always nice to have the extra staffing and stuff. But any final thoughts?
No, well, one, I again appreciate it, both from an AUSA, from a messenger standpoint, and well, just an opportunity to be able to communicate back and forth and stuff, so. To your point, it's our objective and obligation to make sure that we are communicating and hearing what the community is having to say. What we don't want to do is make decisions in a vacuum. At the same time, we fully acknowledge that we've got to be prepared to transform, and and change, but we're not going to do that at late at night and behind a hidden door, and kind of just spring it upon.
I don't think y'all hip shot the decisions that impact our community.
No,
I do know that there's through KRDA, through AUSA, through the Chambers of Commerce, through all of the community engagement that Fort Knox does, our legislators, like you mentioned, that are elected officials, they're engaged with Fort Knox community. In fact, Mitch McConnell's been a huge advocate, so is Brett Guthrie, for our Fort Knox community. Sure. So they've done a great job representing. So I know that it's not a hip pocket shot, and you need to know that out there if you're listening. A lot of thought goes into these types of decisions. They know it's going to be a ankle biter, but sometimes, they're also being misers of the taxpayers' money. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And while we're doing that, again, an incredible amount of quality of life and morale and recreational opportunities and stuff. So, come on out to Fort Knox. Great opportunity to play some golf, and I know there's plenty of golf tournaments that are out
this
there.
Friday, coming up the 11th of July, you need to be out at Fort Knox Lindsay Course. You can sign up. Right. It's in the newspaper, but you can go to Zevi.com, look up the Association United States Army. We are having a golf scramble next Friday, so that's got lots of prizes. So we do that one differently. You get a first, a third, a fifth, a seventh. So if you're one of those scramblers that know how to get the 20 below score, don't feel bad about those folks, because you could still end up with a prize because you don't know where you're going to finish.
Absolutely. No, there should be a prize to be the GOAT. Somebody's got to, somebody's going to run first prize. Somebody's got to win last prize.
We have that too. And we've got some fantastic sponsors for this golf tournament. So come out. We've got 2 hole-in-one prizes that you could win a car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
So we've got a couple of fishing tournaments planned. There's tons of camping and other fishing and opportunities that are out there and stuff. Water park again. While there's always hard decisions that needs to be made, there's also lots of opportunity as well, and that's what we're kind of focused on here. Not just for the people that are living here now, but more importantly for those folks that are moving here onto Fort Knox. We want to welcome them into the community.
Jim, as always, it is a pleasure to have you in the Messenger Studios, and it's my honor to get to serve with you, brother. I appreciate the work you do for the Fort Knox community and our Meade County community, leaving a lasting impact for years to come. For everybody else out there, I just want to remind you, keep in touch with our socials. We've got Holiday World giveaway tickets. We've got all kinds of things that you can win on our social pages, our digital website at themessengerky.com. It's Fair Week coming up in 2 weeks in Meade County, which we just put a whole bunch of fair catalogs in the newspaper. You can get them at newsstands locally, and if you're on Fort Knox, you can get one at the Commissary PX or the Shopette. And that is a beautiful fair catalog with lots of activities. Meade County hosts the largest county fair in all of the state of Kentucky. Now, they can't hold a candle to the state fair, but the state fair takes a lot of its advice from Meade County. So come out and join us for the fair, and go to the newsstand and subscribe. Get a newspaper, buy one at the newsstand, and join us. Join us in some fun. But Jim, thanks again.
All right. Everybody have a happy Independence weekend.
Absolutely. Happy Independence Day.